So we're going to be rating these 4 movements, which are going to be an arm raise, a torso twist, a leg raise, and a sit to stand. I will demonstrate all of those in the next video. We're going to be rating them. You're going to pick one of 2 ways to rate. The first one is Andrea's super lazy way to rate, okay? Because like I said, I like to do everything as easy as possible, and then we can always get more in depth if we need to. So the kind of baseline is no problem. The movement feels great. I can lift my arm. It flies right up. Feels great. Feels normal. Cool. That's no issue. Then there's a low issue, medium issue, and high issue. Now notice I'm saying issue or problem or whatever word you want to use here. It's not pain. Because ultimately, someone might lift their arm and be like, there's no pain, but it does not lift any higher. Then they compare it to the other side and it goes right up. All right? That's kind of, I don't know, I think to me that's like a high issue right there. That's a really limited range of motion. So, again, the issue can be related to range of motion. It could be related to tension. Like maybe it's like, oh my gosh, I can get it all the way up, but man, it is tight the whole way. So maybe you rate it as medium. Again, this is all subjective. You pick what feels right for you. It can be related to nervousness about the motion. So maybe it actually feels okay, but the whole time you're so nervous that it's going to hurt. Definitely include that in your rating. It can be, so we've covered tension, range of motion, nervousness, quality. So maybe it goes up, but it just, you're like, I got a funky click there. I kind of have to like move past an area, but I can get to the end range. So if the quality just isn't quite right, definitely rate that. Maybe it feels weaker from side to side. You know, you test the other side and you're like, man, this side it just doesn't feel as easy. It feels like it takes a lot more strength to lift it up. Anything that's, and especially something that feels different from side to side, like it's just weird, rate that. Okay, so we're always comparing side to side. I personally like to save the rating until after you've tested out both and not just one. It's going to make it a little bit easier to rate it so you have something to compare it to, especially if you have a side that feels great and that makes the comparison even more obvious. So we're looking for asymmetries. We're looking for differences. Now, once you've rated all of them and rated, and I talk about this in a separate video, rated your chosen motion that's causing the pain that you're coming here for, you're watching these videos for, once you've rated all those, we're going to be looking for the motion that feels the best and is most asymmetrical. So in our ideal TMR world, we have one motion that's like a 0 on one side, you're like, feels great, and then you're like, ugh, sucks on the other side. So I'm like, it's like a 60 on this side. Which makes me realize I never talked about the second rating scale. Sorry about that. Second rating scale is 0 to 100. So 0 is no problem, 100 is it feels terrible, shoot me now. And so if you're kind of between 0 and 30, that's a low issue, you know, on Andrea's lazy scale. 40 to 60, medium, and then 70 to 100 is high issue. And so that can allow you to get a little more nitpicky about it, like, it's a 62 and a half or whatever if you really want to rate it. So anyways, so you have one where it's a 0 or a no issue at all, and then you have another one where it's like, oh, it's like a medium high issue. That's really obviously asymmetric, right? So what you would do is you're going to pick that motion, and we'll talk about what you do with that motion in a second. But we first are going to talk a little bit more about picking the motion because that's really important. We have to pick the right, the best, if you pick the right motion, it's going to work better. So that's ideal world. It doesn't always work out that way. Some people, they might have no issue all around, so they're like, well, now I don't know what to pick. And other people, everything, like nothing feels great. Okay? So let's talk about the first set of people first. People who are like, nothing is that obviously asymmetric, or maybe most things feel great. Or you have a lot of ones that are even, like that are a 0 on one side and a 20 on the other side, and you have 3 motions like that. I want you to pick the motion that feels the best. Okay? So let's say you had a 0 arm raise and a 0 leg raise and a 0 torso twist. Pick the one that you'd want to do 5,000 of. Don't worry, you're not going to have to do 5,000. But if you knew you had to do a ton of one motion, I want you to pick the motion where the one that had no issue feels the best. Or as Tom would say, the yummiest motion. Okay? So then if you're in the second group and you are like, everything hurts, okay? First, we have to differentiate between pain and just like a sensation, all right? So if you legitimately hurt, like you don't even want to go back and retest those, you're like, they all feel awful. In that case, what we're doing right now is a little bit beyond the scope of this video and these 4 emotions, okay? So if that's the case, what I want you to do is I want you to message me, email me, contact me, and we can figure out a way to make this work for you, but we're gonna need a little bit more evaluation and a little bit more specificity to your case, and that's totally fine. I've seen it so many times. You are not alone, and there's always a movement that we can pick, all right? If you're like, oh no, it doesn't hurt that bad, there's just none of them feel great, start differentiating between, again, knock out any ones that are just obviously painful, but then if you're like, I mean, it just feels like a big stretch through here, I'm really feeling my muscle work, stuff like that, that might be fine. So pick one that you don't mind doing. Again, you're picking the one that feels the best to you. And go ahead and watch my refinement video of the movements, because I'm going to go into how to refine a little bit. And, if you're just feeling a really big hamstring stretch, for instance, or like your quad muscle really working, stuff like that, it might be totally fine to use that motion. And you're just picking the one that feels best. End of story. Okay? So go ahead, work through those motions now. Pick your motion. And again, it should always be for everyone the one that feels the best. And then once you've done that, you're going to watch the treatment video.